So I imagine just about everyone at some point has posted a hand in a forum and been flamed with a reply that says, perhaps in obnoxious all caps, "Please provide reads." Sure, you should always list any reads you do have, but there are plenty of legitimate reasons to not have them. Maybe you're new to a site, you just sat down at the table, a villain just sat down, your database is on a different computer, or maybe you haven't been able to get your HUD working with Zoom yet. So in this quickie, I'm going to offer some suggestions on how to improve your play against unknowns. This will include both tips on profiling the average reg in your game, as well as some advice on improving your play versus fish, since quite frequently that is what the unknown player turns out to be. So if you have played at your site at your particular level for a long time, there's a good chance you have most of your field covered for statistics. Of course, this also depends on how big the field is. Some table selection tools, like Table Scanner, will tell you precisely what percentage of players you have stats for. If you have stats for over 70% of the field, for example, at a given level, then essentially, by definition, an unknown player is not a regular, at least for the same time of day that you typically play. And of course, a non-reg is usually a recreational player or fish. In fact, with a good level of coverage, you can even hunt for fish using your table selection tool. By instead of searching like for VPIP, like people search for banded VPIPs, you can search for anyone where you have less than X number of hands on that player in your database, since, again, that probably means they're a fish. A quick disclaimer, not all sites condone all table selection tools, so make sure you read your terms and conditions carefully. But what if you don't have good coverage? Well, there's still plenty of things you can do, and I'm sure many of you have heard this stuff, some of this stuff at least, but I pose a question, are you actually doing it? Like, how many tables is the villain on? 1 or 2 probably implies a fish if he's an unknown. Get good at using your search quickly. Know the hotkey for searching, and if possible, use some sort of copy-paste method or AHK script, because you should be doing this all the time and very quickly. What you're trying to avoid is like having to type out the entire player name, if possible, through your poker application interface. Does the villain have less than a full stack? Does he limp? Does he have a fishy name? Is he chatting a lot? Does he make strange sizings like tiny 3-bets or weird 4-bet sizes, or even post-flop? Does he overshove from time to time? Does he call 3-bets cold? Has he ever 3-bet himself? Of course, the VPIP and PFR are the easiest and most common statistics to pay attention to, but try to make an assessment of these numbers quickly as you can. It's really possible even within the first 10 hands, like if he's played 6 or 7 of his first 10 hands. After a few orbits, you should have some kind of general read on every player at your table. The tighter unknowns are usually the last ones you'll get reads on. So, for example, my process is I'm first quickly marking all the fish, and then I'll pay more attention to the remaining unknowns that perhaps I don't have a read quite yet on. So let's say, for example, after 20 hands, you still have no reason to believe a given player is a fish based on these things that I've suggested. Perhaps at 6 max, his VPIP and PFR fall somewhere between, say, 15-10 and 35-25. To actually treat this guy like a 15-10 nit or a 35-25 lag would be a mistake. Just imagine how many sessions you've started where your stats look something like this on a particular table. So instead, with so few hands, the best thing to do would be to treat this player as the average reg in your game.